All right.
All right.
Damn,
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tilted Pod. I'm your...
Hey guys.
Hey.
How are you? This is Tilted Pod. That was a weird voice I was doing there. I don't know why I did it. That was not good. It's Seth. Don't call me Jack Wilds, and I'm sitting here with Nate the Daywalker Morris, and this is episode 47 is what we're going to go with now because last week we said 46.
Yeah.
So it is February 22nd, 2018. We're going to start using date as a reference, I think, now more, just because then that way you can kind of know what was going on at the time.
That's true.
Yeah. So what's up? This is Tilted Pod, like I said, and we're back. We're back, baby. Like Justin Timberlake, except more popular right now because, man, no one likes him. That's kind of an old joke, but God, they're still hating on him for that.
Yeah, they hate him. Everybody hates him.
That's weird too. It's weird. I mean, I used to love me some Justin, but we're here to talk about Magic, actually, and so. We're gonna start off this week like we start off every week, Nate, and we're gonna talk about what we've done. Shoot, baby.
I have been brewing. I mean, everybody's excited, right? Jace is unbanned. Bloodbraid Elf is unbanned. I don't really care about Bloodblade Elf. I just have to care about beating him, I think.
And pronouncing his name
and
correctly.
Bloodbraid Elf.
Bloodbraid Elf.
There's a lot of B's in there.
I know Bloodbraid Elf, isn't it?
So I've come up with some pretty cool deck lists. I know the one that you guys didn't like was a pretty sweet UA control turns list. I think it'd be really fun.
Wait, which list was this? You got to tell the people not.
So it's a mixture of U-White control and a mixture of a turns deck. I've tried to incorporate both sides to it because once you get Jace down,
for real good though.
Yeah, I think it's got really good potential because if you get a Jace down and then you're able to take 3 extra turns, I think you win the game no matter what.
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
Yeah, so and that could be, and there's not that many turn cards. I think there's like 7 turns cards, and you have to think that Temporal Mastery, if it gets into your hand, you can then use Jace to put that back on top of your deck, and then miracle it the next turn. Card is so good right now with Jace. I think that deck could be for real good. Cryptic Command is always a great card, so I think you trim down on all of the turns tricks, and you just add control elements, and now you have a very good turns deck.
Yeah, I like that idea more. I thought the idea that you were brewing with and sent us a deck for was something with Disrupting Shoal.
No, that's another deck. That's another deck.
Okay, yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. And in fact, when we get to more deck results in the first week of our Modern Dump for Magic Online results, where Jace is legal, y'all, we will see a blue. We'll see I think there's 2 or 3 taking turns deck, just different colors: blue, white, blue, red, and mono blue.
Yeah,
and they all are just Jace decks that are like, okay, well, what's the best thing to do with Jace? Is take as many turns as possible
in a row.
So I agree. I think if you wanted to play a hybrid Miracles taking turns list, I like it. I'm excited to see when you have the deck fleshed out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested in those as well.
And then, of course, blue-red control just seems really good right now. I know there's a couple of deck lists floating around right there. That was Disrupting Shoal.
That was the Disrupting Shoal?
Yeah.
So this is where in our friend group, our Magic post, our text online, our text group, I don't know what to call that. We need to get like one of those, what are they called? Like a Discord? We need a Discord for Tilted Pod. We actually have the winner this week of PAX is supposed to help us out set up a Discord. So we could actually have some information and deck lists going back and forth with people who like the show and you know, whatever. We'll share some cool information. Well, this is where we got in a big discussion on whether or not we thought Disrupting Shoal was worth playing right now, or not necessarily worth playing, worth purchasing for $30 or whatever.
Yeah.
That card tripled in price after the release of, or after the unbanning of Jace. Yet I haven't seen it except in like one deck list,
and that was probably the blue-red deck list.
Yeah,
where it's running bunch of 1-drops, bunch of 2-drops, couple 3-drops. You know what I mean? So like, it has potential play there.
Right. I mean, I can see it being a card. But you know, when you're looking at purchasing a card that has spiked like that, it's hard to buy into the spike without actually having clear results. Like
Right.
150 list is not that big of a deal.
Right.
You know, if we start seeing it show up in like, because there's tons of Jace decks that are popping up, but only popped up in one of them. You know,
Yeah.
if we start seeing it more, and I do think that means you're going to have to play a very heavy blue deck, which obviously you would. It's not going to be able to go into a 3-color deck. It's definitely going to be a 2-color deck. And I like the card. I've had it for a long time because I always thought it might make Delver good in Modern. And so I bought mine a long time ago. But it's kind of that thing where it's just like, God, do you really want to spend $90 or something on
man,
a playset?
It's a lot.
Yeah, on a playset, and then just be like, this card is not doing anything because it hasn't done anything. It doesn't have
Right.
any other place in Modern right now. So do we think Disrupting Shoal will be... I think ultimately you kind of went with the same... You agreed. Like,
Yeah, I
you didn't
did.
really want to throw a lot of money into Disrupting Shoals, not having them tested enough.
Right.
Do I think the card is awesome and like as close to Force of Will as you can probably get? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those weird things. What do you guys think? If you guys have any different ideas about Disrupting Shoal, be sure to tweet at us and let us know. Because Nate and I are actually both interested in whether or not the card is actually good.
Yeah.
I mean, we should do some testing with it. Any other brews?
No, I think
you
that's
didn't do
it.
a single Bloodbraid Elf brew?
No.
Just because?
Yeah.
What about this? How about like you used to play Kiki Chord? Mm-hmm. What about like the Bant version of Kiki Chord? Jeff Hooglin 5-0'd last week with a Bant version, and you get to play two or three Jace.
It looks good.
Yeah, I mean you have all those cards too.
I do
don't
have
you?
all those cards.
Yeah. You just didn't like that deck.
I just
before.
didn't like that deck. I didn't like going against a deck that just had better cards than me at all times.
Well, now you always have the best card.
That's true. Now I always have the best card. I just got to plan it. You know what I mean?
Jace. It shouldn't even be Jace. The Mind Sculptor is just Jace. Nothing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that definitely something that you could try out too.
Yeah.
You're more of you want to play a control deck though. And I've been playing Miracles, and I think that I don't even know why I'm playing it. I think it's a deck you would love playing.
Probably. Yeah.
And I have sleeved up, so I'm just going to let you pilot it at me here soon and just see how you like that. See if that might be more your style. I think the deck is great.
Right.
I don't necessarily know if it's the best Jace deck, but I do think it's a really good deck. Like, fun to play, too.
When if you look at like the Jeskai deck and put it up against the new U White Jace decks, really all you're doing is taking out Secure the Waste and putting in and Treat the Angels. You're taking out Supreme Verdicts. Not even taking out. You're just adding Terminus to your Supreme Verdict package.
Yeah, mine specifically, I'm playing no Supreme Verdicts.
Yeah,
Maybe one sideboard and maybe a Wrath of God sideboard.
Right.
Just for the humans, just to beat, you don't want Meddling Mage to name Terminus and then never be able to,
Right. And so you got to have a way to kill that stuff. And we're not having red cut you off with Lightning Bolt and stuff like that.
Right.
You're just running the same kind of control deck with different cards that do almost the same thing.
Right. I think that, yeah, it is. I mean, essentially that's it. I think the mana, though, is so much better.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like blue-white mana it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
like the green-black rock deck versus Jund. I mean, it's very, very good. The mana is so good. Getting to
Yeah.
play Field of Ruin, I think is amazing. In the deck is great. And we're not even now. I think Field of Ruin and the older versions of blue-white, you would be playing Field of Ruin with your 2 mana. What is it? Turn a thing to an island. What can I?
Spreading Seas.
Spreading Seas. Thank you. So Field of Ruin with Spreading Seas is really great because now you're really talking about cutting people off of mana. In the Miracles build, you can't really do that so well because you kind of need your setup cards, right?
Right.
You kind of need like Telling Time, just at least 2 of those in the deck. You have to run 4 Ops. I really think you have to run 4 Serum Visions. Mm-hmm. Those cards are just way too good, and so your draw spell can't really be, Islify your land, and
Right.
then, yeah. So I don't know. I really like the deck. I think you should definitely test it out. The other deck I've been playing is a bunch of humans, like I was talking about last week. Mm-hmm. Red Green Eldrazi, tested that out. I had tested that out before, and to be completely honest, guys, I love Eldrazi, but I don't love this deck.
Yeah.
Just don't like it that much. And then my favorite thing that I'm playing right now, which I have no idea why, and I definitely did not expect it, is Bloodbraid Elf 5-color like Domain Zoo.
Yeah.
Just love it. It's so fun, so aggressive, so ridiculous. Like Bloodbraid Elfing into Mantis Rider or into Lingering Souls or into Geist of St. Traft is just awesome. And then Bloodbraid Elf into Tribal Flames and just 5 you and keep rolling. I mean, the deck is, I don't know if it's that great, but it's a lot of fun.
It is, yeah, I can see that.
You know, I mean, if you just want to play an aggro deck, and I like zoo decks. I've always liked zoo decks. But this is like the first time I've really liked the Domain zoo deck. And
Yeah.
I think it just needed that extra push.
Yeah.
Just getting to play really powerful creatures from all colors is really helpful, you know. So that's what I've been doing. I have been working and editing a little bit, and we're trying to get this podcast able to be viewed on YouTube, and it was going to be this week, guys.
We're so close.
We're so close. We're setting up a little studio, but next week is for sure the time. We are going to have maybe even a short like intro one soon. We will be officially a video podcast, a vodcast. And it's gonna look good. It's not gonna look like that last one we had. We're gonna have it set up, looking nice. Things are gonna be rolling, and then you can enjoy us on YouTube. You know,
Come at us, bro.
yeah, come on. So we have a lot to talk about this week, though, and we're gonna get started on that right now. First of all, we're going to talk about the tournament results. Now, with all the other stuff going on, Jason Bloodbraid Elf being unbanned. This weekend, they still finished, like we talked about last week. GP Leon and SCG Indy were the old format, the quote-unquote dead format.
Dead format.
Now, Modern, I'll tell you though what, Modern is way too diverse for it to be just dead. Most of these decks that made the top 8s of these tournaments will still be good. They're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Especially when we talk about GP Leon. So, at GP Leon, what did you notice, Nate, about like glaring spotlight on the top 8 there?
I mean, there's a couple things, and it's, everybody thought the format was going to change with Jason Bloodbraid Elf, right?
Right.
And those cards are still amazing and awesome turn 4 plays, even more awesome turn 3 plays. But there is just one card that when you play it on turn 3,
seems to win games.
This seems to win games,
Yeah.
and that's Big Daddy Karn.
Yeah. So GP Leon, our European friends, our friends over the seas, they like playing green Tron. There was no green black Tron. There's no green red Tron. But
Nope.
there were 4 copies in the top 8.
Yeah.
Half the top 8 was green Tron. What do we think about this? I mean, I think that for all the people saying like, yo, ban Jace again already. You know, like what? Like they're like,
let's talk about
let's
Tron
talk about this
here,
Tron
honestly.
thing that just
Yeah.
happened. I mean,
Why don't we ban Karn and see how that goes for a little bit? I think the green version is. I don't know if it's the best version.
I've been swayed. I do think it is.
You think it is? Is that just because you don't get color screwed ever?
Yep. I think
That
that's
might
a
be the
big
reason.
deal.
That might be the reason.
Because
I'll follow you there.
Now actually playing both red, green, black, and green. I've tried all 3 of them online. Having 5 basics is no joke. Think about all the Ghost Quarter. Think about all the land hate going on right now.
That is
Being
true.
able to have 5 basics and just still cast where none of their Field of Ruins end up just being straight wasteland.
For sure.
That's really helpful. But do I think that black? I think black is the best sideboard plan and the best. I definitely think their cards are better.
Right.
But having the five lands is really good.
But then just looking through some of these, there is an uptick in Walking Ballista.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
I think for the mono green version, that's definitely the way to go. That is your removal. That's your early turn removal. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just got to kill their, if they go turn 1 noble or if they go turn 1, what's the guy, the human that keeps growing?
Champion of Paris.
Champion of Paris, yeah. Sometimes you just got to kill that thing before it goes crazy, right?
Yeah, and even if you don't, on turn 3, you could put down a ballista for 3.
Yeah.
And ping off most of their board.
Right.
Where they just have the one creature.
If you have Tron on 3, yeah.
Yeah.
And since the deck is built on a consistency, the deck is built to get Tron, right? So if you don't have Tron or somehow they stop you, you have a turn 2 play that's okay. If you do have Tron, he just gets better with spades, man. He just keeps getting better. I think that the addition of Walking Ballista has made the deck better. I think they took a note from Eldrazi Tron, and they were just like, yo, these guys are playing Walking Ballista, and it's like one of the best. It is probably one of the best. Like,
yeah.
It's arguably the best card in your deck a lot of times.
Yeah.
In certain matchups, especially in Eldrazi Tron. So why is Tron, which gets it even more reliably, not playing it? And now I think they're just like, yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
I think an interesting thing of this top 8, though, was you also had, lots of Eldrazi guys. Red Green, Gregor Kowalski. Homeboy brought this deck to the Pro Tour and then ran it back at GP Leon and then won the thing. He went 7-3 at the Pro Tour. Pretty good record, honestly, at the Pro Tour. It was one of the most obscure decks. It was the only one like it. And then comes and wins this, just kind of crushes Tron. Watched all of that top 8 because I was just like, oh, dude, this guy brought it back. You know, something that was really good, Crumble to Dust. A card we don't see that often, but in a meta full of Tron, worth it. I don't think the card's that great all the time, but if you know you're going to play Tron a lot, it's a good card.
It's a pretty good card.
Yeah. You know what's really great about this card in his list is that it's a colorless spell.
Yeah.
That's devoid. So Ancient Stirrings, you're picking it up.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. You can dig for it.
Yeah.
I like his list a lot. The one thing I'm really not swayed by is that one of Mind Stone he's playing. I would almost just cut it for literally anything else.
Just cut it. Or, I think it's just you want more ramp. But, yeah, I agree. One Mind Stone.
Yeah.
The other thing is this deck is actually, I listened to him talk about it, this deck is extremely weak for an Eldrazi deck to Blood Moon. It's one of the weakest blood, So he has only 2 ways to cast his spells through a Blood Moon, and that is Mind Stone actually is the only one way to cast his colorless spells.
Ugh.
And which he can grab with a Ancient Stirrings.
Right.
And he has 1 forest if they Blood Moon him. So I can see it in that. But yes, I kind of get it. Now, there's been some player with this deck where they've taken out the Scavenging Oozes, and they've taken out like the Birds of Paradise, I think, and they just put 4 Bloodbraid Elves in there.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know if I like it. It gives you a lot less turn 2 play. Like, you don't really have any turn 2 plays then.
Yeah.
Unless you have a Eldrazi Temple. My favorite part about this deck, though, is Obligator.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's what makes the deck good. This deck is aggressive as hell. But I don't see... I think the sideboard's great. I think he did a great job. The only thing he changed from his Pro Tour list is he took out a 1-mana fight creature and put in a second Chalice of the Void. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I like the deck. I think 4 Caverns is really great right now with so many people trying to play Control.
Right. Oh, for sure.
The deck's cool. It's just a very, very aggressive red-green deck. Or, it's just an Eldrazi version of a red-green beat-em-up deck.
Right.
What I do think is crazy is he beat Marcio Carvalho. Marcio Carvalho, who was playing Abzan. And
say my name.
This is hardly Abzan. It's green
it's
black.
Rock.
Yeah, it's rock, but you're just playing. You get to play Lingering Souls and you get to play Stony Silence. If you're gonna play Abzan, I guess this is the way to do it.
I like this list a lot. Actually, I think that I like the incorporate. I like the rock list right now. I think it's great. I think that Abrupt Decay is grossly underplayed right now.
Yeah,
I can see it getting a lot better in the future for sure. I do like the 4 Fatal Pushes and the 2 Maelstrom Pulse. I really dig the second one. And I just like Dark Confidant a lot right now.
I think I like Dark Confidant a lot right now too.
Yeah, I think it's where
that's
you want
one
to
of
be
my favorite things. But the thing I don't like about this deck is 1 Tireless Tracker.
Yeah, that's too low.
I just feel like you should play more. I understand why he's not in this list, but I really like Tireless Tracker. It's just so good. And my favorite thing about this list, though, is that he's going ahead and rocking them 2 Treetop Villages. He does have 1 Shambling Vent, but Treetop Village, I think, is one of the best man lands, and it's just underplayed. And that's what I like about the rock decks right now, is they get to play a lot of Treetop Village.
Yeah.
It's cheaper, more efficient, and a 3/3 Trampler is a good deal, and you only need 1 color to activate it.
And I guess the white's good for the Engineer Explosive in the sideboard. He gets a 3rd color.
Right.
It's okay, but...
I think the deck... I think it just blows my mind, though, that he got all the way to 2nd. Beating Tron decks, that's pretty impressive. And then there's a Jeskai Control deck. This is a Snapcaster Nahiri Jeskai Control deck. I don't think we're going to see these much more often. I think from now on you're going to see Jace and not Nahiri.
You'll see Jace forever.
Right.
Nahiri is dead,
yeah,
I think.
Probably gone. I do think she'll be played in certain lists, but those are lists specifically trying to do Nahiri things, like
Yeah.
get an Emrakul or something.
Get Emrakul, win the game.
Yeah, but the list is interesting. A bunch of 3-ofs, a couple 4-ofs, 4 of Cryptic Command, 4 of Path, and then a whole bunch of random 3 of burn spells.
Yeah.
It's just a good deck. Nothing super special. I don't see anything he has that's so good against Tron except just having lots of counter spells.
Yeah. Which can only hold him off for so long.
Right, but Tron does have a lack of, they're not really super high on threats. It's mostly, consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And then their threats aren't that strong. So if you can just hold off and just count, if you just happen to counter, the thing is they can't end the game fast. That's the problem with, Jeskai's. It doesn't end the game quickly. So if you can stop them from doing their thing for a little bit, then just, you're kind of stuck sometimes. So we have 4 Tron lists, 2 Abzan lists, Jeskai Control and Red Green Eldrazi. Notable in the top 16, a Green White Hate Bears list, and 5-color humans was pretty popular. There was nothing, lots of 5-color humans. Nothing too crazy though, about this tournament. Maybe in 32nd, a blue-black mill deck. Kinda
Yeah, I
wild.
mean that always pops up.
Yeah, just random blue-black mill deck, and I feel like Europe has got a different metagame than us normally.
Yeah.
But if we compare it to the SCG Modern Open that happened, we're going to see something that's kind of similar, and that's Tron lands. The event was taken down by Brennan DeCandio playing Grixis Dust Shadow. Mm-hmm. Brennan is mostly a standard player and just showed up with Grixis and did really well.
Yeah.
I think the deck is still going to be good. Nobody's talking about it, but I think Grixis Dust Shadow is still going to be a good deck.
Yeah. You could even see them running a Jace or 2.
Yeah, in the sideboard probably especially. But this top 8 I thought was pretty interesting because there are 3 copies of Eldrazi Tron in the top 8 and 1 right in 9th. It's like right there. Almost made it. And the Eldrazi Tron lists are all running bigger Eldrazi. Like they're running the Ulamog, they're running the Wormcoil engine, Karns. These aren't the lists that we're used to seeing. What they're doing is they're adding an extra waste because of all this land hate. So there's now 3 waste, which I think is a great idea after playing this deck for a while. They're playing a Sanctum of Ugin so they can go get their big stuff. And they're playing they're cutting their Ghost Quarters and then playing more caverns. I'm pretty sure all of them are running these type of these Wormcoil Ulamog lists.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why Eldrazi Tron was a little bit on the downswing is just they weren't as big as everybody else.
Yeah.
And they were kind of stuck in that mid-range game. I think mid-range pre-ban was awful. It just wasn't doing well. Jund was almost dead. Abzan was fighting for its life. Just a lot of those mid-range decks weren't doing very well, and I think Eldrazi Tron got kind of caught in that. And now they add these bigger threats. Ulamog is just a monster. Can't push it. You're exiling 2 whatever as soon as you cast it. It's absurd.
Yeah.
And Wormcoil can be just devastating for some decks.
Right.
So I think that's why these bigger creatures are now becoming more important.
Yeah, for the most part, there was one traditional I call it traditional. That's actually the non-traditional is the 4 Endbringer version. There was one in the top 8, but most of the Eldrazi Tron we see in the top 32 is the big version. Dylan Donegan, also a notable name that shows up with Grixis Death Shadow. We've got an Elves list in the top 8. I think it's pretty cool. It's playing Shaman of the Pack. It is not playing the combo. It is not playing, what's the Vizier of Remedies, etc. What's the Devoted Druid? Yeah. They're not playing that. So this is back to the old school, back to the old school Elves. It's pretty cool. I like the list. Shaman of the Pack can do a lot.
Benjamin Nikolic also in 3rd place. Jeskai Control. He's been crushing it lately. I know that he's been doing really well.
Yeah. His list is running. He's running the hard control version, right?
Yeah.
I like that he's running one Gideon ally of Zendikar instead of the Nahiri. I feel like that helps you turn it on a little bit faster if you need to.
I just didn't like the Nahiri that much. I mean, when you're pulling out a Gearhulk, maybe most of the time a Snapcaster Mage, she does do other things, but it's just not very aggro. I mean,
yeah. I think the Gideon you can just like turn the corner with so much faster.
Although I did see a guy at the latest tournament I was at playing the hard control with Nahiri, and his opponent thought he knew the deck list well enough to not worry about Nahiri, and then he ulted and went and grabbed the one Emrakul in the deck and swung.
Oh, he actually had it.
Yeah, he actually had it. And his opponent was shocked. Yeah.
Little gotcha. Yeah. People forget about that.
Well, he announced it, like, go get Emrakul, and his opponent was like, Emrakul? Let's see it. And the guy just flipped through his deck and threw it on the table, and he's like, yeah, you got me. Scooped him up.
That might be a nice little trick right there.
Because if they don't think you're running Emrakul,
right, they might not deal with it.
Yeah, they might not deal with it.
I do like this other list that's up in the top 8, and this is Steven Dykman. He is running just straight up white taxes, death and taxes.
Mm-hmm.
The list is really streamlined, really cool. It's all 4 ofs and then 1 Phyrexian Revoker, which I think is funny.
I think that's good. There's so many planeswalkers running around, so much stuff going on. That you really got
to me that he just like goes with the 1 of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He does have 2 more in his sideboard, but this list looks great to me. If you're wanting to run like just death and taxes, I feel like this is like the list to look at. 4 Thalias, 4 Blade Splicers, 4 Displacer, 4 Flicker Wisp, 4 Resto Angel, 4 Raven Inspectors, 4 Leonin Arbiters, 4 Path, 4 Aether Vial, and he's even running Eldrazi Temple with only Displacer as his only hit, so it's not like he's counting on that Eldrazi Temple. He just wants more hits with to be able to flicker more with Eldrazi Displacer. I think this deck is super cool, a really good version of just death and taxes.
Yeah,
and he piloted all the way to 4th place, so that's pretty sweet. In the top, we've got a Jeskai Kiki Jiki. We've seen that show up a lot more. Whole bunch of 5-color humans, guys. I think 5-color humans is going to be like kind of our new affinity.
Yeah,
if you
real
want to play
deal.
a linear aggro deck, but it also has a lot more
decision making.
I would say, well, it has a lot more interaction than affinity does.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's probably hard or easier to pilot humans, but you have a lot more like you need to know the format if you're playing Meddling Mage, etc. Where affinity is like, I need to know how my cards work really well.
Yeah.
Like, because you can do so much with them. But I do think that that's going to be really popular. In 32nd, though, there is a Saheeli Evolution deck. Starting to see this pop up a little bit. What do you think about the Saheeli decks?
Oh, man, I like that they're coming around, but I feel like it's coming around at the wrong time.
Right.
Because they're about to get crunched.
Yeah, they're probably just not. They still have that, like, we could just kind of turn 3 combo you, though, or whatever.
That's true. That's true.
I mean,
and all combo decks that can go off as early as turn 3 they have a place in Modern. But I feel like this is the weakest one that there is.
I do agree with this completely. Yeah. This statement is 100% true. I mean, they're only playing one of the actual combo card, only one Felidar Guardian.
Yeah.
4 Saheeli, though. And it's also they have 4 Eldritch Evolutions, so they can kind of do whatever they want. I mean, they're going to get that card easily.
Maybe.
Lotus Cobra showed up in a big way. I think even in the Jace, in the new world of like Jace as well, Lotus Cobra just got better.
Yeah.
And he's showing up in tons of these creature combo decks. I really like Lotus Cobra.
The problem with creature combo decks is I feel like they're coming at a time where blue-white's going to be popular, and they're going to run into path, counter spells, just detention spheres, the worst time,
Right.
Storm is harder to hit with a control deck just because, they're creating multiple copies with grape shot, stuff like that. Whereas a creature control deck, they wait for you to cast the second creature of your combo, path your first creature, you've ran out of gas, they plant a Jace, bounce your creature, like it's just all bad.
Man, actually, I'm glad that you said that because notably, Storm is like absent from both of these results.
Yeah, for sure.
Like completely absent. There is not a Storm list in the top 32 of either one of these, I don't think. Yeah, there is no Storm. That is wild. I didn't even notice that until you just said that. Storm had bad showing at the Pro Tour, and then I think humans might have pushed Storm out of the format, man.
Humans is really fast.
It's really fast, and it has interaction, where normally Storm can just kind of race you. I mean, Storm can win on turn 3. Again, and it can do it kind of consistently, but if you interact with it at all, it kind of sets it back. And if you just name Meddling Mage them out or Thalia them out, I think
Meddling
Thalia's
Mage.
been really popular too.
Meddling Mage is just game one. Game one, it is impossible to beat.
I think it
right?
is. I don't think they can beat Meddling Mage game one.
Yeah.
And maybe they changed the list a little bit so they do have one out, but I doubt it because the deck's pretty tight as it is.
Yeah, I mean there's no space in it.
Right. So all right. So that's the Open. We're not going to get too much further in that. We saw some cool cards, but let's talk about how fringe the Classic was. Right. So
I think it was really fun.
I think the Classic looks so different. Right.
Yeah.
It looks completely different than either one of these other tournaments. The Open, the GP Leon besides Blue Black Mill, and the Open besides like the 30-second list there, or maybe Death and Taxes, looks like a clinic of what Modern kind of looks like lately.
Yeah.
You know? However, in the Classic, we're looking at White Red Prison taken down first. I mean, you're going to be able to talk about his list.
Yeah.
Teamer mid-range in second. Blue White Control, which is kind of normal. Raymond Perez in third. Grixis Death Shadow, that's kind of normal. We got L's. But then, like, Ad Nauseum, Affinity shows back up. Dredge, Goryo's Asphalt, some Mono Bluetron. You know, like, I just feel like there was a lot more, like, weird things going on.
There were, for sure.
The number one top card was Serum Visions instead of, like, Bolt or even a removal card.
Push.
Yeah, I felt like this was an interesting tournament, you know. We actually, in 10th place, our buddy TJ, who's been on the show and has been in some videos, was piloting Grixis Death Shadow, just borrowed it from a friend, took it up there. Didn't even have the sideboard, like, that is definitely didn't have the correct sideboard.
Right.
And took it all the way 10th, was actually in the number one seed, I think, going into the last round, and, like, nobody was undefeated. So he ended up losing the last round kind of on a bad deal or whatever to the White Red Prison guy.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Well, that's what happens. You know, sometimes that happens with White Red Prison. They just kind of lock you out with Chalice.
I really enjoyed the matchup versus Death Shadow when I was on White Red Prison. It's a very great matchup.
So since you're the White Red Prison guy and everybody knows it, let's go ahead and talk about their White Red Prison list. I think it's kind of cool for a prison list.
Yeah, I mean, he's made some. First off, Greg Williams is a good guy. I've talked to him many times. Us prison people kind of have to stay together. This is it's Red White Prison at the core, but he's made a lot of changes to it, and I think they're good changes. I wouldn't have been able to do this, but he has gone away from the creature removal packages, Anger of the Gods and Wrath of Gods and stuff like that. He's kind of cut down, gone a different way. He's got the 1 Sweltering Suns, 1 Anger, 2 Lightning Helix, 2 Blessed Alliance, which I like. I was always a fan of the Blessed Alliance card. It probably rocked Grixis Death Shadow all day.
Yeah.
He's actually running 1 Abrade main board. I figured that Red White Prisons would go this way.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
That makes the most sense. But now he's running 1 Journey to Nowhere, 1 Oblivion Ring, and 1 Cast Out. And that's a very unique package to have in there, and it gets rid of all of the big threats. And so that's an odd one. And then he's also running 1 Batterskull. Normally the Batterskull on the Red White Prison list is only for if you're not running the Planeswalker package and you're really on prison. And snaring bridges, stuff like that. So he's got the run of Batterskull. I like that. 2 Gideon in the Trials, 2 Chandra, 4 Nahiri. That seems pretty good. They cut the big Gideon. Now they're just running little Gideon.
Yeah, it makes more sense, I guess.
It does make more sense. But he's got 1 Magus of the Moon main boarded.
Just that 5th Blood Moon.
Just the 5th Blood Moon, yeah. And I like that because you always want to hit a Blood Moon.
Yeah.
I
think that's the whole point of the deck, right?
Yeah, so. And at that point, you run the 4 Simian Spirit Guides. A lot of people were cutting down to 3 and 2. Putting out Blood Moon was getting harder and harder to do on turn 2. And you're using a lot of resources to get out there. But if you have 5 Blood Moons, I feel like you always have 1 of them in your hand, opening hand. His sideboard is really good. 2 Anger of the Gods in a sideboard for the humans matchup. He's got 2 Leylines of Sanctity that I really like. 2 Engineered Explosives, which is just very good. 2 Rest in Peace for all the graveyard decks. And a Sorcerer's Spyglass, I think, is just great.
I think with the decks that are playing Chalice, it's just what they're moving to instead of Fifth Needle.
Yeah, it is, for sure. I think this deck was really good. I'm glad he piloted it to first. It was probably a very hard-fought day.
Let's talk about let me talk about something real quick. Let me talk about how humans has impacted the meta so much. I think this deck would for sure have just been running like Wrath of God or 2 Sweltering Suns or 2 Angers or Day of Judgment. Like they would have chose 1 card, right? and they would have been like Oblivion Ring, Cast Out, Blood, Journey to Nowhere. They would have been like more on like, all right, I want to play 2 Oblivion Rings or like two
Journey to Nowheres.
And then you are having to diversify your threats and answers so much because of Meddling Mage. Because now that you're playing in a format where there's one of the most popular decks is running four cards that can just go like boom. That's why people are not just running Supreme Verdict and Blue-White Control. Now they have to run Wrath of God and Day of Judgment.
Yeah.
Because if they just go name Supreme Verdict, you're done. You know what I mean? And that, I think that is really interesting how Greg saw that and was like, okay, I got to change some of my stuff because I have to diversify my answers because if I just get cut off of something, I'm done. I'm done. I think it's really cool how they've done that, and I think that's just important to remember moving forward. That's going to be a big part of.
If Humans sticks around, a lot of decks are going to have to change some things.
I think Humans is here to stay because I think it's only going to get better every time they print a new set, or possibly better. It has the most chances.
Right.
Their mana is so good, but Blood Moon has got to be good against them already. They do have, Dorks, obviously, and they do have Aether Vial, and that main deck of Braid now blows up Aether Vial without them having to worry about it to get till game 2.
Yep.
Let's talk about Teamer Midrange for a minute. Robert Meadows in second place. This is a deck that looks like he was ready for Jace, and, he was just like, well, I'll just play this now without him. I was just like, I'm going to play this deck.
I think this deck, he's either looking to play Jace or play Blood Braid Elf.
Yeah.
I don't know which one, honestly. I don't know which one you put in here. But the deck looks really fun. It looks really cool. Rug seems good. Once again, we're seeing that one tireless tracker in the main board. I hate that.
Yeah, I could definitely use another one. This deck may be hard. No, I don't know. I mean, he's got a bunch of one-ofs. So, one of Pia and Kieran, one of Huntmaster, one of Tireless Tracker. I think the 3 Narnum Renegades is, interesting instead of playing some sort of mana dork there.
I actually don't like that at all.
He's just playing, the 2/3, Death Toucher. It is kind of a removal spell. He's got 4 Bolts, 4 Serum Visions, 2 Spell Snares, 2 Remands, 1 Dismember, 2 Electrolyze, and 2 Cryptic Commands, and then 4 Mishra's Baubles. So Mishra's Baubles turns on Renegade.
Yeah.
And it also grows your Goyf, and it makes your deck essentially 4 cards less. Lumbering Falls is your man land. No, does he have any other man lands in here?
No, that's it.
No Raging Ravine, huh? Mm-mm. Yeah, just Lumbering Falls. That's kind of interesting. I guess you can't kill it. That's nice.
Yeah.
But Raging Ravine seems really good. Your sideboard, a whole bunch of negates and disdainful strokes. Engineered Explosives seems really good. And then a Thrun and a Keranos and 2 Molten Rains. I like the deck.
I do like the deck. I think the deck
could be interesting, though.
The deck could be tuned a little bit more, I feel like.
Right. I feel like we've seen these decks before, though, and the other versions haven't performed as well. Now, again, this is a classic. This is, he might have taken it into the open, not done as well. And then the classic just he got good matchups there. I do think the deck might be a little bit matchup dependent. But mid-range, Teamer mid-range, it's just not a thing we see that often. I do think we are going to see it
going
forward.
It's going to be everywhere.
Yeah. Grixis Death Shadow, Cameron Neighbors, just Grixis Death Shadow. Stephen Brown with Elves. This is the version, I'm pretty sure, that is running. No, this one is not running it either. This one's even running a Craterhoof Behemoth and a Growing Rights to Itlamok. That is interesting.
That's neat. I like that. I don't mind that at all.
No, I think it's kind of cool. We've got some interesting sideboard choices, too. That's an interesting Elves. Maybe Elves is coming back. We are going to talk about Tom Medved, though. Your buddy, you want to talk about the changes he made to his list?
He's just making it more streamlined. I feel like not so much the main deck, but more of the sideboard. I feel like he's learning from life. I really like the Rakdos Charm he's thrown in there. He, too, is also running a Sorcerer's Spyglass. Mm-hmm. I like that. A Braid showing up. I think a Braid's going to be a very good card in Modern. Sooner, if not later. Affinity hasn't really been prominent right now. And then Gonti, Lord of Luxury, I think is just...
I think that card was prime time to start showing up in Modern lists.
Yeah.
And now that mid-range is going to be a little bit better, it's definitely going to show up.
Yeah, I think that they made this... When this card came out, I think a lot of people thought it was a Modern card, and it wasn't just that great because there's no deck to really handle it. But now that mid-range is kind of coming out, I think this is going to be a good card.
It's one of my favorite cards to cast, dude. I love casting this card. I've only played it in Standard.
Yeah.
But, boy, it felt like I was playing a powerful card when I cast this card. I was like, this is awesome. Like, this feels like a modern card, printed on I'm playing Standard, but this feels like a powerful card.
Yeah, I've had it cast against me. Just it's very annoying.
Just the fact that you always have that card, you can always get. You're just like, wow, this is so cool. Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, Tom, cool. Good on you,
Tom.
Good on you, brother.
Good on you.
Dredge in the top 8.
That's unbelievable to me. Dredge is on a very, very low downswing.
I do think it's on a downswing, but I do think the deck is still incredibly good.
Yeah.
What is unbelievable to me is the lack of Black-Red Hollow one. Now, we're going to talk about the Team Modern Super League. And the deck list this week was Pomplamoose versus Play Design, right? Mm-hmm. And so you know how it works, like how we talked about it last week. Each week, the other team gets to ban one list. I think this is what makes it so great, is you all come with a list, and each team gets to ban one of the other person's list. Well, Pomplamoose had Hollow One banned from their deck list. And Pomplamoose banned Team Play Design's Tron list because exactly what Gabe Nassif said is like no one wants to see Tron anyway. So
right, yeah, no one wants to see that deck played, be played, have played.
Which is I'm starting to like Tron a lot more. But so this week 3, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, it's super awesome. It was the first week that went to all 7 games or whatever, all 7 rounds, and it was Team Play Design that came out on top. So every week has been the underdog. I think that's amazing.
I like it.
Every week has been the underdog. Every week the underdogs have been paired up against some serious pros and have gone down. I mean, we're talking you beat Gabe Nassif, Logan Nettles, and Reed Duke, all qualified for the mocks.
Right.
All qualified for the right now the biggest tournament in Magic history. I think the most lucrative tournament in Magic history is the 24-player mocks.
Yeah.
So, all right, anyways, back to the Super League. Nate, buddy, this might be my favorite thing I have seen in Magic for a while. Like, I'm eating this Super League up, right?
Yeah.
It is super fun to watch. It is cool. I mean, it's always been vintage before, but I think this is definitely doing well. It seems like they have high viewing numbers every night that they do it. It's every Wednesday. So, Pomplamoose versus Play Design. We'll break it down with you. Logan Nettles comes in with Red Green Eldrazi, but he's playing 4 Bloodbraid Elves. He plays Melissa Del Toro on Goryo Asphodel, basically Tom Medvec's list. A little bit different. She's got, it's more like Goryo Asphodel living in, but like Tom, but with like Jace Vryn's Prodigy and Obsidat.
Right.
Pretty cool list. She gets kind of destroyed, right? Real bad. Logan goes on to play Paul Cheon. The new bad guy of the format to me is probably Titan Shift. We can talk about that for a second. What do you think about Titan Shift? I feel like this deck is too good.
Yeah, man, it sucks to play against. I can tell you that.
It's awful. I feel like no deck has a good matchup against it. It's like,
no.
I mean,
and there's not even a sideboard card really floating around right now that stops it. That's the bad part.
Because you can play around the good sideboard
cards. You can play around all of the good sideboard cards that you're seeing right now. It's really hard to play because they're not even playing around other sideboard cards that are just so fringy you wouldn't even see them.
Yeah.
It's just, man, it's a little unfair.
I think it's an unfair deck. I think it is one of the most unfair decks. It just has the best, like, well, if the game goes long, I'm going to win the game.
Yeah.
Like, it never feels like you're going to lose if they don't just kill you right away.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't think the scape shift aspect of it is bad. I don't think prime time's bad.
It's Valakut.
It's Valakut.
It's the fact that Valakut just can end the game.
Yeah.
If you just go Prismatic Omen on 2, you're going to win by natural land drops.
Yeah, which I did do when I was at the tournament playing with Scape Shift. That was a couple of my games. I just hoped to make all of my land drops over and over, and then they couldn't keep up with me. Anything they planted, I just shot down with a land real quick. And 2 Valakuts is just unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. You're and then like fetch lands from that point on. Their fetch lands come in as mountains, and then you fetch into more mountains.
Yep.
And everything is mountain. So it's really ridiculous. Anyways, so that moves on, and then, okay, so Paul Cheon ends up beating Logan Nettles. Then Gabriel Nassif comes up, and he decides to play UW Control. Because I do think out of all the decks, it's got the best shot, right?
Yeah.
It's got a long game. It's got counter spells. You're not going to win, based on just... And it's Gabriel Nassif playing blue-white. So he had to make some really tight plays to not just lose. If he ever taps out for a Jace in certain games, he's just dead on board.
Yep.
He holds up counter spells. He plays it out real slow, but negates and stuff from the sideboard, end up just winning the match. So UW comes up. Then Tom the Boss Ross shows up with a classic spicy list, a little infect. Crushes Gabe Nassif. Just crushes him. But, I mean, that's infect versus blue-white control. That's what I love about this. You get to pick. I think the idea is so great. We should hold a local tournament like that where you have, like, teams and you get to
pick who you play.
And pick why, and then everybody else is watching. But it's such a cool event. Like,
I agree. No, I agree 100%.
Cool. So Tom the Boss Ross wins. Then Pamplemousse gets to pick who they want to go up against him. So we get Reed Duke, and obviously he's going to be playing Jund. And Jund versus Infect, he just picks him apart. I mean, Tom did everything he could to stay in the game, and he actually made some pretty cool, plays and did some tight things. But it's Jund, and it's Jund versus Infect. It's kind of like, oh, that was Infect versus Blue W Control. Or, it's just a little bit rough. After that, Pamplemousse is definitely up. Paul, they decided to play Paul Cheon on Green Black Rock. So Reed Duke is obviously playing Bloodbraid Elf. But, Team Play Design decided to come to the table with no Bloodbraid Elves. And I think only like 2 Jaces in the sideboard of their As Foretold list. Green Black Rock versus Bloodbraid Jund. Paul Cheon versus Reed Duke, such a crazy match. I mean, some of the most high-level Magic I've ever seen. Like, if we're on level 1, they're on level 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're making plays that I was like, I didn't even see that at all. Like, I didn't even think about that. If you can go back and watch a match, this is the one I promise you would like to watch.
And not just that, it's the fact that they're making plays based on decisions that based on decisions they saw 3 turns ago, or based on decisions they think their opponent's going to make 3 turns from then.
Yeah,
it's just such tight windows that they're having to make these plays through, and it's like, wow, I didn't even see that coming. And, it's easy for us to see with the information we're given, but it's the fact that they're doing it, with no information.
Yeah, with no information except for, like, maybe a thought seeds that they had. It's with only the information, limited information.
Limited information,
yeah. It was really an awesome game. Paul Cheon ends up winning it in 3. A probably one based on one play Reed Duke didn't do to protect. Like, could have made one play that would have changed the whole game. But that you can't really say he played bad or it wasn't a punt even, because it was like, how am I gonna tell Reed Duke he punted Jund? Like he did.
Right.
Like,
and
it was
he made
just
so
one
many
thing.
decisions to get there.
Yeah. And that I would have probably never even been at. So that was an awesome game. I'm not even a big fan of like the green-black mirrors, but this was awesome.
Yeah.
So then they decided to bring Reed Duke back up, and they could have chose Grixis Death Shadow, but instead Reed Duke comes up with Soul Sisters and proceeds to get crushed by green-black. It was just Golgari Charm at one point. Just wiped his board. Just easy, like 5 creatures in one card. Pretty great. But this is like legit my favorite thing right now. I think it's so good.
It's a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to learn from. I think that you can always get better by watching good people play the decks that you like to play.
Yeah, and the way the tournament is set up, the way it's streamed on Magic Online, so you have a lot of information. Each member of the team shows up to do commentary. This is one of my favorite parts too. We get to see like Tom the Boss Ross, Michael Majors showed up, Dan Musser, my nemesis. No, he's not really my nemesis.
He basically is your nemesis.
First, he doesn't even know who I am, but he is my nemesis. Yeah, I didn't realize he was on Play Design team now, so he's there talking about all these things. And then you got Randy Bueller, who kind of oversees it. But then, you're hearing from everybody.
Right.
Everybody gets a chance to be a commentator. So it's kind of cool to see new faces trying out their commentary hat. So during this tournament, they start talking about the mocks. And the mocks is something that I think, as modern players, we are really, really going to get into. The mocks is coming out. Let's see. The Magic Online Championship Series, March 2nd through the 4th, 2018. It's going to be hosted at Wizard headquarters.
Dope.
It is a $200,000 tournament. Right?
That's insane.
Only 24 players.
Yeah, that's
It's
insane.
basically Worlds. It's bigger than the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I mean, for money wise, $40,000 going to the winner. The 24 competitors are stacked too. We're talking about players like Josh Utter-Layton, Reed Duke, Steve Rubin, Corey Burkhardt is in it this year, Brock Parker, some grinders that you know on Magic Online, especially Brandon Burton, a little Sandy Dog MTG. Yeah, you know that dude's killer. I beat him once online. That felt good. But yeah, but he comes with some burn. It's going to be an awesome tournament.
Yeah.
So it's like a split format tournament, just like the Pro Tour would be. So it's limited, Rivals of Ixalan limited, draft and modern. I think in a small tournament like this, metagaming, the cards are going to be, every card's going to be legal. You know,
Right.
like we're going to get our Bloodbraid Elves, we're going to get our Jaces. You know everybody in the tournament. How do you prepare for a tournament like this, Nate?
Ooh, that's
like
hard.
if it was you. Like it's almost like preparing for a local game store, but on the highest level ever.
Right. I mean, and in that situation, I think that you have to dance with who brung you. You know, I think Corey Burkhardt should be playing Grixis Control.
Right.
Now, whether or not he wants to incorporate a Jace or two in there, like that's his, decisions. But I think that that's what got him to where he is, and I don't think you stray for that. So I think in that aspect, I prepare for things that I think I'm going to see based on who's in it.
Okay, so say you made it in it. Nobody knows who you are. You just kind of made it. You did well at the mocks, and you ended up earning a spot because you played well, but nobody really knows you yet. They don't know your deck preference. Maybe you even got in playing a couple decks. Sandy Dog MTG is going to be there. He's always burn, 100%. You know that Corey Burkhardt, he's almost always Grixis Control or something like that. You've got Reed Duke. You've got Gabe Nassif. What are they going to be on? Jund and Blue White Control probably.
Yeah.
So do you plan on do you try to sideboard and metagame for everyone else, or you're saying just no matter what, you take the deck that you think you're?
Yeah, I think you take the 60 that you feel the most comfortable with and that you feel like you can play your best Magic with, and then you make your 15 cards be worth it for what you think you're going to see.
So you think 24 players is probably still big enough that you can't really just try to spike the tournament?
I don't think you can spike it.
Okay.
I mean, because there's just so much stuff you can run into.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
It's
24
just-
players is still a lot. You know, that is still a lot
That's
of people.
23 other decks that you have to worry about being just outrageous. Like, I don't know that you show up with Boggles. You know what I mean? I don't think you're going to do well.
Right. I think if you thought everybody was like, yeah, we're all playing Storm, or no, maybe not Storm, but if we're all playing, I don't know, what is Boggles even good against? It's just good against everything a little bit.
It's good against everything, like Burn.
It's good against not Liliana decks.
Yeah, not
if
Liliana.
everybody's playing Burn, you just show up with Boggles. I think this tournament is going to be really cool. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I'm interested to see how the pros break down this format and decide again. Man, we have had so much good modern content lately.
It's been nice.
It's been insane. We haven't got to talk about Legacy at all because there's just been nothing as of yet.
Yeah, they should ban Deathray Shaman, right?
No, they should not. And
man, we're so far apart on that.
what I just don't I don't know, man. We've just had so much to talk about. But we are going to get out of here this week, except for one thing. We are going to give some packs away
Packs.
Lucas Stanford.
Lucas!
This guy is a guy who always listens to the podcast, interacts with us. He's actually a local guy. And he's going to be hopefully helping set up a Discord for the babies out there because, the pigeons, we need a place to frolic. We need a place online we can go hang out.
Yeah. Tweet.
We're going to do some more leagues. I'm going to get Nate to play some Magic, some actual Magic, not just theory. And I think that's going to be it for this week. Stick around till next time on Tilted Pod. We out.
Ciao.